Today, we're diving into the invisible revolution that's finally giving our AI assistants, well, hands. We're going to look at the one protocol that is about to change absolutely everything about how we interact with AI. So, have you ever felt this? You've got this incredibly smart AI, right? It can write a poem, it can debug code, it can plan your entire vacation. But the second you ask it to do something super simple, like actually send the email it just wrote for you, it just hits a wall. So, what's going on there? Well, here's the deal. These large language models, they are masters of words, but they've basically been trapped inside a digital box. They can talk a great game, but they can't actually do anything. They can draft that script, sure, but they can't save the file. They can write that brilliant reply, but they can't hit send. Let's talk about the bridge that's finally connecting these amazing digital brains to the real world. This whole problem actually has a name. It's called the AI action gap. Think about it. We've built these incredible brains, but we completely forgot to give them hands. For the longest time, they just haven't had the connections to interact with all the apps and services we use every day. And the old way of fixing that? It was a real mess. For a while, the only way to try and bridge this gap was through something called APIs, Application Programming Interfaces. But honestly, it was a total nightmare. Every single app, whether it's Gmail or Notion or Spotify, has its own unique API, its own special kind of quirky way of connecting to things. And this created this classic textbook integration headache called the N by M problem. So if you wanted to connect N AIs to M tools, you had to build a custom one-off connection for every single pair. It was ridiculously expensive, super slow to build, and it was constantly breaking. Just a tangled web of frustration. But then, the team over at Anthropic came up with this incredibly elegant solution that's taking over the entire industry. They created what everyone is now calling the USB-C for AI. One universal port to connect everything. It's called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP for short. And the most important word here, the magic word, is standard. So instead of every single developer having to create a custom plug for their app, MCP provides one universal socket. Now, all the AIs and all the tools can use the exact same connection to talk to each other. It's simple, it's open source, and you know what? It just works. So how does this magic actually work under the hood? Let's take a quick peek at the architecture that makes it all possible, and you'll see it's actually pretty straightforward. Okay, so it's basically a classic client-server model. You've got the host, that's the AI itself, like Claude or ChatGPT. Inside the host, there's something called an MCP client. And when the AI wants to do something, that client uses the MCP standard to reach out to an MCP server, which is really just the tool or app you want it to use. The tool simply makes its abilities available through this standard. And this is where it gets really, really cool. These servers can expose way more than just simple actions. They can offer tools for tasks like sending an email. They can offer resources so the AI can read data, like files, without changing anything. And they can even offer prompt templates. These are like expert-level instruction manuals that help the AI perform really complex jobs perfectly without you needing to be some kind of prompt engineer. All right, enough of the theory. The best way to really get a feel for how powerful MCP is to see it in action. So let's look at what this tech is making possible right now. So for our first demo, check this out. A user gives a pretty complex command to an AI that's hooked up to their Notion account through MCP. They're not just asking for a simple list. They're asking the AI to build a whole structured database from scratch. And just look what happens. With no other instructions, the AI just goes for it. It creates a new page, it builds the database, it even defines columns that make sense for the data, like status and category, and then it starts filling it all in. I mean, this is a total game changer. The user didn't have to explain how to do any of this stuff in Notion. The AI just understood what tools it had and got to work. Okay, next up, a user asks an AI to build a really complex automation workflow in a tool called N8N. Now, this is something that would normally take a person a decent amount of time and some real technical know-how to pull off. And bam, just like that, the AI generates the entire skeleton for the workflow. It connects a trigger from YouTube to a whole chain of actions across completely different apps. All the human has to do is plug in their accounts. The entire complex logic built in seconds. But for this last demo, this is where things get genuinely mind-blowing. In this case, the AI isn't connected to some app in the cloud. It's connected to Blender, a 3D modeling program running right there on the user's own computer. And this just shows you the true power of this protocol. The AI is literally taking control of the software, building this sandcastle piece by piece, polygon by polygon, adding textures and little details. This proves that MCP isn't just for cloud apps. It lets our AI assistants sit right next to us and help us use the software on our very own machines.
So, the really crucial point here is that this isn't just some cool niche feature. No way. This is a massive foundational shift for the entire AI industry, and it's all happening incredibly fast.
I mean, think about it. Anthropic introduced MCP in late 2024, and the adoption has been like a wildfire. By the spring of 2025, you had all the heavy hitters, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, all announcing they were getting on board. You've got all these huge rivals agreeing on one thing. MCP is the future. So what this all leads to is what the experts are calling agentic workflows. Just imagine giving one simple prompt like, hey, plan my trip to Tokyo, and an AI agent just does it. It intelligently books your flights, reserves a hotel, creates a calendar itinerary, and saves all the confirmations to your Notes app. All of it, without you having to do anything else. That is the kind of power that MCP unlocks. You know, there's a quote going around that just absolutely nails it. If large language models are the new brains, MCPs are their new spinal cord and hands that let them take action. It's the final missing piece of the puzzle that connects all of that intelligence to real-world action. So we've gone from AI that can only talk to AI that can actually do. That barrier between saying and doing is just dissolving right before our eyes. And so the only question left for us is, now that your AI finally has hands, what are you going to have it build first?